Hi, I'm Kristin Bone, and I go by Krissy. I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. I am in the New York City area, and I am an actress, model, psych RN, and an entrepreneur. And I'm really excited to be able to share some of my experiences with you and to be able to be here with Keith Andrew.
Andrew, very nice to meet you. Talk show is to show people that even with every learning disabilities, I can still love something. At the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there to never give up and prove people wrong, no matter what. So the labels do not dictate who you are going to be. With that being said, I wanted to take this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Keith Andrew, and I'm here with two great guests, only here, available on the Keith Andrew Network. Keith Andrew Network's available on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Make sure to like and subscribe and become a fan and supporter today. So that being said, the first subject we're going to talk about is icebreakers. Now we're going to start off as box number one. That will be Krissy. So tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Hi, so my name is Krissy. I am an actress model in the New York City area. I also work as a psychiatric RN, and I am an entrepreneur. So I have a lot of different areas that I am working in and I'm very interested in, and I'm excited to share that with everyone today.
Absolutely. In box two, Scarlett.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scarlett. I actually recently transitioned to actress and filmmaker about 2 years ago. I was working as and I transitioned to engineer for working at SpaceX 2 years ago. I ended up being in LA for that. I have a background in NDT inspection and quality engineering, but ended up transitioning to acting because of a specific trauma experience in my life. And for me, acting isn't just about being in films, but it also allows us to really kind of heal those parts of within ourselves. And that kind of led me to work on my first feature-length documentary. There's a lot. I'm a mom as well. I am first generation Mexican American, so I speak Spanish as well. I pretty much do everything from acting, modeling, directing, cinematography, video editing, all the good stuff. Yeah.
Well, all I have to say is gracias for being with us.
Thank you.
Now, I do have a couple questions I do want to talk to you guys off the air about. Actually, I can say it now. For anyone who would like to be part of the Keith Andrew Network for $20 a month, I will create you an introduction, a theme song. You can have your very own talk show. You can have your own very own segment. As long as it's professional, for $20 a month, I will do all the heavy lifting, and I would like to invite both of you to be guests on the show and actually be a guest on the network to host your very own talk show. If you don't want to do a talk show, you can do a sit-down segment. You can do a mental health. You can do poetry. You can sing. Whatever you want to do, you're more than welcome to be a part of that. So I just want to throw that out there, but we can definitely talk off the air. So the next one I'm going to ask you, Scarlett, is when you were in college, were you a study nerd or party animal?
I didn't go to college, actually. I only did half a semester. I got right into my field right at 19.
Oh, nice. What about you, Krissy?
I definitely was someone that studied. I initially started out going to a school of ministry, and it was very, very strict. And so we definitely did not do a lot of partying. But when I went on to do nursing school, I didn't really have time to do anything but study and work.
Oh, wonderful. So the next subject we're going to talk about when we come back from this quick commercial break is production. When we come back. We're back from that quick commercial break. Now, the first thing I want to ask you is tell our audience, what is the biggest change you want to make in your acting careers? And Krissy, we're going to start off with you.
I think the biggest change that I want to make is that I just I want to be able to get as many people involved as I can in the acting area. And I really have seen my acting coach do that. I've watched him really get people involved in the industry that haven't been involved before. And I've really been inspired by that. And I think that that's something that I would like to continue.
I mean, there's a lot for me personally. Is definitely I want to keep honing my craft and really push what I do in any role. Is for me, I think, on a personal level, from a community level, is help educate other people about the importance that acting has on a personal and healing level. Acting for me isn't just, again, I didn't get into acting because I wanted to be an actress and wanted to be in movies. It was a therapeutic. I was dealing with trauma, and acting for me allowed me to unlock those parts of me that were hidden, and allowed me to express a lot of things that I was hiding behind without any limitations. And it allowed me to also see the empathy of other people's lives. So when you portray a character, it allows you to step into people's shoes. So for me, acting is super crucial to help us understand who we are on a human level. And that's something I want to connect with other people, that again, it's not just to be on movies, it's to really try to connect back to all of the parts of you, the good and the bad, every aspect, and not be afraid to express every part of who you are.
I agree. You know, the good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah, no one's perfect. There's no such thing. Let me hear you. I'm gonna like to hear you guys' expressions, and I don't mean for my disability to show, but that's the end of the show. But for all our lives, this expression of practice makes perfect was so projected and jammed down people's throats. And Krissy, I want to ask you, you know, or Scarlett, actually, because the camera was back on you. Does practice make perfect? Because I don't agree with that assumption. I think practice makes improvements.
Well, for acting, what I've noticed is I have a very strong work ethic that I have in business, and I've tried to take that work ethic and I've tried to put it into my acting. And I know that that's been really difficult because there's a lot of times where you can over rehearse and you can practice and practice and practice. And I've actually watched myself get worse the more I've practiced. And so that was kind of something that was really frustrating for me. And I've learned that in acting, you have to practice, you have to hone your craft, but sometimes you need to just step away from it. And sometimes you need to not practice quite as much.
But do you think that, well, no one's perfect, but do you think in your point of life right now, do you consider that you are perfect, or do you think it's always improving?
I definitely don't think that I'm perfect. I think that everyone has areas that they can work on. I have areas that I can work on. I'm continually trying to work on honing my craft in acting. I'm continually trying to work on my career, and I'm continually trying to work on me personally. I work as a psychiatric registered nurse, and I've always, told people that everyone has room for improvement. There's nobody that couldn't benefit from having some kind of psychiatric treatment, because everybody needs to get a little bit better. And I believe that, we all need to work on ourselves.
Absolutely. That was actually a bonus question, but that wasn't the main question I wanted to ask you. While I have you here, what is some of the best acting advice you have been given?
I think some of the best acting advice I've been given is to really be selective on who you work with. And the reason I say that, like my acting coach, when I'm learning from someone in acting, it's very important that I have a very good relationship with the person that I'm working with, that I'm being instructed by, and that person is going to be very, very crucial to my acting career. And so I need to be very selective. And I think that that's something that everyone needs to take to heart is to be very, very, very careful who their mentors and instructors are, because those are
Absolutely.
the people that we're going to end up being like.
Absolutely. And Scarlett, same exact question. With everything you accomplished in your career so far, what are some of the best acting advice you have gotten?
Uh, I think, I mean, it depends on I've had movement and my, of course, my theater coach. And I think it's really finding the spontaneity of the piece is there's no such thing as perfect. It's finding those unexpected moments that can really set it on fire, and it's trusting your instincts. Like you guys had mentioned before, for me, there's no such thing as perfection. The thing that makes us unique, specifically as actors, is all of who we are, right? And that's something I've learned is to love all the quirky aspects. I had a director specifically tell me was learn to love every part of yourself. Watch yourself over and over again and love those little quirky things that make you uniquely you.
No, absolutely. You have to stand out and be different. You don't want to be like a carbon copy, because then people will see that you're phony. If you project yourself as in being real and genuine, then people will connect with that, because people like connecting with real things.
Yeah.
But the next question I want to ask both of you, actually, and remember, each of you have 2 minutes to answer this, but 2 to 3 minutes. The next question I want to ask you is, what are you most likely to become famous for? And Scarlett, we're going to start off with you.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I do a lot of things. I love dabbling in so many things because I'm not just an actress, I'm also a filmmaker. I think for me, I want to give back. The reason I built the film production company was to help bring people's stories to life, because a lot of people, I've been blessed that I've been working as an actress for being fairly new in the industry, but some people's voices aren't heard. And I think for me, one of my goals is, of course, to be at the top of my game so I can give back to help bring other people's stories to life.
Absolutely. Well, with everything that you know and seen on me, with production, well, let me ask you this in a different way. What has been your favorite film? Because we're talking about film and production. Was there a film
Mhm.
that impacted your life that wanted you to start your production? And Krissy, this is going to be the same question for you after Scarlett answers.
You said what was the first film that inspired me to do production?
Yes.
Actually, it was the first supporting role that I got for my first short film. It was a film called Reflection with a school. It was CSUN up in Los Angeles, and it was an all crew and cast of women. It was the first film, and for me, working with all these young women as a family, as a team, to bring this film to life for me was crucial. And actually the director, her name's Celeste, she became one of my really close friends, and still to this day, like it's been I think a year and a half that I still know her. And it was just inspirational. It was a big trust between all of us as a film crew and the cast to bring a story to life. That for me made me like just have a like an epiphany to say, you know what, I don't want to just be in front of the camera. I want to be behind, and I just want to learn every aspect of filmmaking.
What about you, Krissy? So the question I wanted to ask you is, what are you most likely to become famous for?
That's a good question. As far as what am I most likely to become famous for, I would like to say my acting, but you never know what people latch onto or gravitate to. And so it's going to be, I think, what people are most interested in that I do. And I know that I've got a lot of prominence in the business world for different things, being a psychiatric nurse. I've got a lot of prominence for being an entrepreneur, and then also for my acting. And so it's kind of hard to guess, actually.
Absolutely. The one thing I do want to point out is when I say come back from this commercial break, we don't actually take a break. It's just a point for me to do the next transition. So when we come back from this when we come back from this quick transition, we're gonna do the next subject. We're back from a quick commercial break. And then one question I want to ask both of you, but Krissy, I want to ask you, was there a movie that impacted your life that wanted to inspire you to be an actress?
I never had a movie really impact my life, but I've had people impact my life. And so I had a friend when I was in college that was an actor that really inspired me. And I watched him in his career, and I was always very inspired by his career, but acting was always his thing that he did, and it wasn't anything I'd ever thought about doing for myself. And then I started getting interested in modeling. And when I got interested in modeling, I was kind of pushed towards acting. And once I started acting, I just fell in love with it. So I think it was more people than an actual film.
Absolutely. You sometimes people are the best inspirations that you can get, either in person or by from a film. The next one I want to ask you, and it's actually brought to you by, if you guys are fans of NHL hockey, tonight, the New York Rangers, will they win and continue their way to, I can do it again, that was pretty bad. Tonight, it's the New York Rangers underway to the Stanley Cup. Will they continue their winning streak, or will they be eliminated? Make sure to watch NHL hockey. Make sure to go to Optimum, go to NHL.com, get all your information. If you're a New York Ranger fan, you definitely should support them and watch their games. With that being said, next subject I want to talk to you about, Krissy, is because you are a nurse, is brought to you by the coronavirus. How has the coronavirus impacted your life, and do you see life in a different point of view?
Well, the coronavirus was definitely very interesting. I was working as a nurse during COVID, and I was actually working as a financial professional, and I was working as a nurse. And when the pandemic hit, I quit being a financial professional and went back to doing full-time nursing because I felt very strongly that I was needed. And nursing is something that I never want to give up in my life. But I really have a strong interest in acting, and I have a strong interest in doing other things. And so I like the fact that I can do nursing and pursue other dreams at the same time. But I definitely think the pandemic impacted everyone. I went and I became a travel nurse, and I went all around the United States during COVID. And I had been working also as a nurse in a prison at that time. And so, I was able to help in some really needed environments, and it was really rewarding.
No, absolutely. And Scarlett, thank you for muting your mic. Usually I have to tell people to do that, but you kind of beat me to the punch. But Scarlett, let me ask you, how has the pandemic impacted your life, and do you see life in a different point of view?
You know what? I didn't really feel the impact too much. I was working at SpaceX at the time, so we were still working. We had the NASA launches that we were definitely working, and I was managing a big team. So for me, my life was pretty much all work at that time. So I didn't really see the effects of that personally. And I've been alone when I was out in LA for a long time. I think the way that I saw the impact was in how we interact. I think for me I think it was an appreciation of the connections that we have, because I feel sometimes we took things for granted before the pandemic. And that really kind of was like a wake up call to really be grateful for everything that was around us, and the work, the connections, the family and friends, and the opportunities to connect on a physical level. That was, I think, the biggest impact.
Now, you mentioned SpaceX. So have you worked personally with Elon Musk?
No, I have not worked personally with Elon Musk. I was only working at the company for 5 years. I saw him like in and out of the company, but not really personally. No.
Well, personally, I think he did a horrible job with Twitter. I think he should sell it to someone who can fix it and do a better job. Um,
Yeah.
but that's just my 2 cents. But we're on the subject of social media. How can our fans and listeners get in touch with get in touch with you? See, when I don't do my interviews as a way, my disability shows more. And people are like, oh yeah, that's good. You keep saying you have a disability, you have a disability. But I try to hide it. But whatever. Support people with disabilities. Makes you a good person. I just want to throw it out there. But question I wanted to ask you, social media. How can our fans and listeners get in touch with you? Are you on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok?
I don't do TikTok. I do have Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I have my IMDb. You guys can search all that information. I have a YouTube channel and on Instagram. I try to stay away from social media a little bit. I only use it because I need it for the business. But I mean, you guys are welcome to find me there.
I have a TikTok, but I'm not very avid on TikTok. I think that my Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn are the best ways to reach me and the best ways to follow me because I try and keep those updated pretty well.
Now, the next subject I want to talk to both of you is called Song of the Day. What's there a song that always inspires you to get through the day? And Krissy, we're going to start off with you.
A song that inspires me to get through the day. I can't think of a particular song off the top of my head, but I definitely like listening to music. So I don't think I have a really good answer on that one.
Hey, what about you, Scarlett?
I love music. For me, actually, right now, I've been really listening to Jessie J, and there's two songs that I've been just it really makes me happy. Is one of it is called Queen, and the other one is called I Believe in Love, which are probably my two favorites right now.
What is your favorite over here? What is your favorite band? And say, it's because of this band I got into music. For an example, we were on our little personal story about me. We were on our way to visit my dad's parents, my grandparents. Anyway, my dad's parents, my grandparents. But we were going there. The whole family was going. My brother surprised me by putting headphones on my ears. And the first band I actually appreciated, thanks to him, was Rush. Rush is one of my favorite bands, hands down, even though I like Iron Maiden. But Rush, Tom Sawyer, Spirit on the Radio, 2112, hands down one of the greatest rock and roll bands. So the question I want to ask you, Krissy, we're going to start off with you, is what is your one of your favorite rock and roll bands? Or any bands for that matter.
I was going to say neither of my people that I'm going to mention are rock and roll, but I really enjoy listening to Travis Kendrick. I was in one of his music videos and got to meet him, and he's also a registered nurse, and so I really enjoyed his music. And also Stage. I've really enjoyed listening to Stage. He's a great artist, and so those are two people that really inspire me.
What about you, Scarlett?
For me, it's not a band, a singer for sure. Her name is Selena Quintanilla. That was my first ever musician that I remember when I was a little girl, I was 3 years old. I listened to her, and for me, she was my inspiration to also do singing as well. Being Latina, coming from Texas as well, she was a big inspiration. Being Mexicana and just changing the world in that industry for me, she again big inspiration in my life. Yeah.
No, absolutely. For people who are watching, make sure to watch us on Instagram and TikTok for the extra 10 minutes of a sit down at KeithAndrewNetwork. But with that being said, the next one I want to ask you, as you mentioned, you have your own production company. What moment in your life was said, you know what, I want to create, I work for people, I work for other companies, but you know what, I want to create my own work. What was that moment like for you?
Oh man, I remember that moment. Actually, I was working when I was working at SpaceX. I was trying to balance my acting career with work, and that is impossible because SpaceX was so much of my time that my boss actually asked me to choose between both. And I decided at that moment where I was like, you know what, like I need to take a leap of faith of making my own path and building my own dreams because it was great what I learned at SpaceX, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity because I learned really wonderful aspects of hard work and dedication and a lot of things I'm grateful for. But I wanted to just build my dreams. I wanted to pave my own path. I wanted to do something unexpected and also help give back in a different way.
No, I agree. That's exactly how I felt. Well, of a backstory for me, I got sick out of my own stupidity, but I got tired of working at Target and Walmart or these other retail stores because I'm not saying my sister says I'm kind of like Napoleon. I have a Napoleon complex. I don't like listening to myself speak, but I like being in a situation where I feel I have control over it. Because when you put yourself in certain situations, it kind of gets overwhelming. It's like I don't have control of it. I don't know what I'm doing. This is overwhelming. But that's one reason I created my own talk show is because I have myself in this little bubble, you know, that I can control. Not saying I'm a control freak. It's just in certain situations you want to feel like what you're doing has meaning and that you're putting your best work forward. Because if you're just going through emotions, and Krissy, you mentioned you're a nurse, you can relate to this. If you're just going through emotions, you're really gonna set yourself up for failures. I'm speaking from experience. Do you agree?
I mean, definitely. I know that there are days that everyone goes through the motions, and it's kind of just a part of having a career, but that's not going to be fulfilling long term. At some point, you've got to get out of that. You've got to get passion, and you've got to get excited about what you're doing, and that can be found again if it's lost. But I mean, I think that you're right that there has to be meaning in what you're doing.
What about you, Scarlett? Do you agree?
Repeat the question. I'm so sorry.
Have you ever set yourself, or pretty much, have you set yourself up for failure by getting yourself into a position, and not in that way, getting yourself into a position where you said, I thought this was going to be easy. I thought this was going to be a walk in the park, but I really just, and it's uncensored. The shit really hit the fan. It's like, wow, I just made an ass of myself. Have you ever been in that situation?
I mean, I think life is that situation. It's supposed to be. I think one thing I've learned about failures is those are the beautiful moments that help you grow and become the person that you're meant to be. I think a lot of my choices in my life, I ended up giving up a lot of what I wanted because it was not what was going to make money or what was expected of like having a real career. And I realized along the way that even though I wasn't following my heart from the beginning, that still helps me learn so many different things that help me now when I'm following my heart at this point. So, oh yeah, I think we always put ourselves in those situations where we kind of put what we want aside and we do end up failing, but those failures are beautiful moments of growth.
That's true. I agree with that. But there are some moments where you just feel like you embarrassed yourself. But even if you embarrass yourself, it's not the fact that you do that, it's how you bounce back and you learn from the situation. Don't assume things. My sister likes to say this, don't assume things because assumption is the mother of, not gonna, it's PG. But I do have a couple questions for you guys off the air. But wrapping up, this interview will be shared on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all social medias. Make sure to stay tuned when we come back from this commercial break. It's the sit down that's available only on Instagram and TikTok. When we come back, wrapping up our interview segment, it was a real honor and privilege having both of you as a guest. and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road. I just want to say thank you for your time.
Just the fact you're on my show and supporting me, and my message is all that matters. Keith Andrew